How's it going, everybody? And the best that is, the best that was, the best that ever will be. There but none before me, there'll be none after me. Therefore, I am the one and only Jake Covey, and welcome to Wrestling Made Simple. We got huge week this week with a bunch of pay-per-view reviews. Fuck Raw, fuck SmackDown. We got 4 pay-per-views to review. 4 from this weekend. We might also throw in the classic pay-per-view review. We'll decide more into, once we get into the podcast, of what we're going to actually review this week. We got your drink of the week, followed by a reading from the Book of Rules, and the Battle Droid of the week. Huge news, actually just announced Alexa Bliss is pregnant, so don't expect to see Alexa Bliss in WWE anytime soon. I actually just found out doing a scroll on Twitter right before the show. So, shout out to Alexa Bliss and Ryan Cabrera. Congratulations to them. That's awesome. But before we start the podcast, I just want to give a huge, awesome shout out to Danny Cage and the Monster Factory Pro Wrestling School. I went down there this Tuesday and was actually able to sit in on a practice and their practice matches. It was awesome. I got to meet all the wrestlers, got to meet all the trainees. Great people. Danny Cage, an awesome guy. If you're looking to get into pro wrestling, this is the place you need to go. They have an amazing facility. I was not expecting much when I walked in, but once I walk in, they have an awesome ring set up. It actually did remind me a bit of the Performance Center, of the way they had the ring and the entrance all set up for them. And then they had music to go. They had commentary tables. All the wrestlers, everyone there was just super nice, super accommodating. So if you're looking to get into the business and learn what to do, the Monster Factory is where you need to go. These guys are just awesome people. Check them out on social media. Follow Danny Cage on Twitter. And let's get into the podcast this week as we start off with Under Siege. No, not the Steven Seagal movie. Under Siege Impact Wrestling. This was a great show. I have to say, I really did enjoy this show. One of the highlights of the weekend. I wasn't expecting much, but yeah, it was fun. You got Joe Henry being Dirty Dango for the Impact Digital Media Championship. I saw that coming from a mile away. And the Death Dolls beating the Coven and King. Being the Coven, Kalen King, and Taylor Wilde. These were okay matches, good pre-show matches, nothing to really go on the main card, just a really cool, hey, take a look at what we got, just to show the undercard. We kick off the show with Nick Aldis versus Kenny King in a singles match. Nick Aldis really dominated this match. It was basically Nick Aldis' return to the company to show, hey, I still got it, and I want to challenge for the Impact World Championship. Great job by Nick Aldis to show that he could beat Kenny King any time of the week. So I really was very happy to see Nick Aldis get that win. We then get a 6-man tag team match. It was Rich Swann, Sami Callihan, and Jake Christ versus The Design. Cool match, and it's really cool to see Sami Callihan with no hair. I usually don't like it when a wrestler shaves their head, because I think hair in a match really does add to the whipping, and it really does add to the match itself of you're sitting there and you're watching, once a punch is thrown, you're watching the hair go one way and everything else. I really like that, so I feel that that's something that should be added to a wrestler, but I gotta admit, Sami Callihan made it work, and he looked very cool without the hair. Sami Callihan, Rick Swann, Jake Christ were able to pick up the win in this match. After this, we get Trinity in her pay-per-view debut for Impact versus Giselle Shaw. Cool match. Trinity was able to win it by submission. Very underrated match. If I had to give, the underrated match of the pay-per-view to anything, it would definitely be this one. Trinity showed up, and it was awesome to see her wrestle. I wish she was still in WWE, but, and maybe she has a great future in Impact. I could easily see her as Knockouts Women's Champion. As the Knockouts Champion. We then get ABC versus Subculture for a tag team championships. This was an okay match, nothing really to write home about. ABC was able to retain. I wish Subculture was able to win it, and it kind of lets a sour taste in my mouth, but okay match. We then get Trey Miguel versus Chris Sabin. I knew Miguel was going to win this one. Chris Sabin put up a great match. It was okay. It was a heel winning, so you know you're going to get that of the heel like raking the eyes or some bullshit. And that's how it ended. It ended with an eye rake and then Trey Miguel hitting his finisher. Okay match. Nothing that I really loved about this one. This was probably one of the worst matches on the card. We then get Alex Shelley versus Eddie Edwards, Frankie Kazarian, Jonathan Gresham, Moon, and Yuya Uemura in a six-way match to determine the number one contender. This was probably the second worst match of the night. It wasn't the people involved. There was just so much chaos. There should have been an elimination match. If they made this an elimination match, I would have loved it. But it was still a good match. Alex Shelley did win and became number one contender. We then get Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace in a last chance match for the Impact Knockouts World Championship. If Jordynne Grace lost, she can no longer challenge Purrazzo for the title. Deonna Purrazzo was able to pick up the win here over Jordynne Grace. And I heard that this was a speculation for a while of why they add this stipulation, but it hasn't been official if Jordynne Grace is no longer with the company. So I've heard rumors of a WWE or AEW debut. I don't know where she's going to go. I imagine to leave Impact, which is easily the third promotion in the world right now, just the way they are of having a better TV deal than most. So she would either probably go to AEW or WWE, and I imagine if she was to go to AEW, they would have allowed her to stay in Impact. They kind of worked out that deal with Taya Valkyrie and a couple other people, so I imagine she would have been able to stay. So I imagine she is probably going to WWE. That's just my speculations. I can't say for sure. But Deonna Purrazzo was able to pick up the win in a nice 13-minute match. This was a good match. We then get your main event. This main event was a good match, but what happened after the match kind of spoiled this for me, so I'll get into that later. You get Steve McGowan versus PCO. Awesome match, really no disqualification, hardcore match. This probably had the most hardcore moment, and I want to say that, of the weekend. And you have a match with Sabu on AEW, and this was the most hardcore moments of the weekend. PCO got his fucking mouth stapled shut. Alright, GCW, you're up! Try beating that shit. Jesus Christ, I've seen a lot of fucked up shit in wrestling. Oops, sorry about that. Do not disturb. But, Jesus fuck, PCO getting his mouth stapled, oh my god. Steve McGowan was able to pick up the win here, but it was after the match that really pissed me off. I forget I think it's Don Callis is the Impact president. Whoever it is came out and had to put the belt on Steve and shake his hand. That was fine. I was fine with that. Then Bully Ray showed up to attack the president. Again, fine with that. But there was just so much shit after that. You had everyone coming in and trying to make the save, but no one could. No one could make the save. Bubba then puts the president through a flaming fucking table. I'm fine with that. Cool. Awesome. However, how many people need to come in to make the save? You had a lot of people chanting for Devon, and I actually thought for a minute, I'm like, oh god, that'd be awesome. If Devon Dudley was to show up and make the save, I would have loved that. But we never got it. So, pissed me off that didn't happen. but then it was still a very good show. It was probably the third best of the weekend out of these four. And to say that it shows a lot to what Impact is putting up. I'll get to the worst show later on. We then move on to Night of Champions. This was a fun show as well. It followed into From Under Siege on Saturday at 1 p.m. Yeah, I was actually driving during the show, and I didn't watch it till I got home. I knew all the results because, Twitter and all that shit, but still, it was fun. It was very, very fun show watching it. You kick off with Seth frickin' Rollins versus AJ Styles for the World Heavyweight Championship. You knew these guys were delivering. You knew it. If this isn't a 5-star match, I don't know what the fuck is. So, Meltzer, the ball's in your court, dude. This should be a 5-star match. Seth Rollins kicking out everything. AJ Styles kicking out everything. And finally ending with Seth Rollins taking the start to become your first World Heavyweight Champion. Unfortunately, it looks like they won't follow the lineage of the original World Heavyweight Championship, which makes me so sad. I loved that title. That title was awesome to me, so I wish they would, but they're not going to follow that lineage. Keeping it in the Rollins family, we get Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus next. I just had to make the joke. Very cool match. Trish Stratus was able to pick up the win after Zoe Starks intervened. It was weird seeing Zoe Starks, one, because she wasn't wearing a full bodysuit like most women wrestlers do, and two, she was just wearing a leather jacket, a regular tank top, and jeans. So that was very weird to see in Saudi Arabia. Maybe we're moving towards more of just a regular ring gear for women's wrestlers in Saudi Arabia. I don't know, because Becky Lynch did come out on Raw wearing the same ring gear from Saudi Arabia, so maybe that's going to be her ring gear now. It looks more like a Kill Bill, Uma Thurman kind of thing. Very cool. Very cool. I'm not dissing it, but at the same time, I wasn't expecting Zoe Starks to show up. Zoe Starks did attack Becky Lynch and cause Trish Stratus its satisfaction. 1, 2, 3. Trish Stratus picks up the win. We then get Bianca Belair defending her title against Asuka. This was another good match. I found it hard to find a bad match on this card, except for one that's clearly the worst match. Clearly. Asuka was able to pick up the win after hitting the mist. She tried to hit the mist on Bianca Belair and missed, and actually took the mist that was left on her lips and in her mouth, put it on her fingers, and used it to rake the eyes of Bianca Belair. I know I said earlier that I don't like eye rakes. This one, to me, is different because it's introducing the foreign object that way. I thought that was a cool way to introduce a different kind of eye rake. So I liked that. So Asuka is your new Raw Women's Champion. I imagine it's going to become the SmackDown Women's Champion. You're going to get Rhea Ripley becoming the Raw Women's Champion because Rhea Ripley retained in 1 minute. That is right. Rhea Ripley beat the living fuck out of Natalya and was able to pick up the win. This was clearly the worst match on the card. But even then, it was still cool just to see Rhea dominate. I enjoyed that. I thought that was very good. I forgot your third match. I completely skipped over and went to the Asuka match. Gunther versus Mustafa Ali for Intercontinental Championship. This was another great match. You got to see Mustafa Ali actually really put up a fight against Gunther. Gunther finally pulling out the win after hitting a powerbomb on Mustafa Ali. Made Mustafa Ali look great. Made Gunther look great. Good match. Gunther retains the title. We then move on to your singles match between Brock Lesnar and Cody Rhodes. Brock Lesnar was able to pick up the win after Cody Rhodes passed out in a Kimura lock. This is an awesome way to keep both wrestlers strong, as you have the one guy who is ready to go, always having a great match, and then you have the other one is Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, good job. put on a great match, and Cody Rhodes passing out is the perfect way to have this match go. Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar are probably going to have a match at SummerSlam. Cody Rhodes will probably move on to Money in the Bank for the month. Maybe Brock Lesnar will interfere and cost Cody Rhodes Money in the Bank contract. I don't know, but it would be cool to see Cody Rhodes win the Money in the Bank contract. Just want to say that right now. We then get your main event of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, for the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles. Another awesome match, but it's the finish everybody's talking about, as at the finish, Jimmy and Jay would try to get involved, and you would actually have Jimmy super kick Roman Reigns, and you would have Jay go, "What are you doing, man?" And Jimmy would say the awesome line, "I'm doing what you should have done a long time ago." Great job. Unbelievable. I can't wait for SmackDown this week to see what's going to happen with this storyline. The Bloodline storyline to me is the perfect storyline in wrestling because it's just completely evolving every second of the day. Just want to say how much I love that storyline. We then move on to what I think is honestly the best pay-per-view of the weekend, NXT Battleground. NXT Battleground had so many good matches. Every match on this card was awesome. I want to say that right now. You had Wes Lee defending his title against Tyler Bate and Joe Gacy in a triple threat match, which I really enjoyed. I love Joe Gacy's character work. Love Tyler Bate. Wes Lee is an in-ring performer after his tag team partner unfortunately got released. Has turned into an amazing single star as someone I could see carrying the United States or Intercontinental Championship for a while. He could carry that division for a long time if they wanted to put the division on top of him. Wes Lee would retain his title. We then move on to your British Round Rules match as Noam Dar defeated Dragon Lee in 5 rounds. Good match. A lot of people are shitting on this match. I don't know why. I enjoyed it. But I can understand why people may have felt it was just a bit too much, as you would have Oro and Messiah. You have Oro and Messiah interfere with Dragon Lee to cause Noam Dar to retain. Only problem with this is I wish Dragon Lee had won this match, because I feel like Dragon Lee isn't getting the type of push he deserves. We then move on to your last man standing matches. As Dragunov first defended... this is another podcast where Jake has a stroke. As Dragunov faced off against Dijakovic, now just Dijak, in a last man standing match. This was a great match. Dragunov would pick up the win here over Dijak. It's a hard fought match. Both of these guys got busted open. Love it. Love it. You then get your tag team matches. Gallus defeated the Creed brothers for the NXT Tag Team Championships. They were able to retain their titles. Again, another great match. Ivy Nile and Joe Coffey on the outside. Perfect on the outside, really helping intensify the match. These are two managers who really know what they're doing. Gallus, great job. The Creed brothers, great job. This is tag team wrestling, what it should be. We then get Tiffany Stratton versus Lyra Valkyria. My brain is starting to go mush, ladies and gentlemen. Tiffany Stratton versus Lyra Valkyria in the tournament for the vacant women's championship. This was the final of the tournament, and their awesome match. You would have Tiffany Stratton actually pick up the win here and become the 100th woman to win a women's championship in WWE. So shout out to her on making history in that one. Awesome match. Tiffany Stratton showed why she should be the face of the women's division. I didn't believe in her at first when she first debuted in NXT, but you know what? She turned it around and has truly made me enjoy her work. So, Tiffany Stratton, shout out to you. Great match. And then we get your main event, Carmelo Hayes versus Braun Breaker. If you're looking for an awesome NXT singles match, this is it. Carmelo Hayes, you only need one moment to talk about. Carmelo Hayes goes for a move off the second rope And you just get Braun Breaker mid-air hitting spear on Carmelo Hayes. Now, people are calling this the best spear ever. I disagree. I think Edge versus Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania 17? Yes, WrestleMania 17, where he speared him off the ladder. I think that's the greatest spear of all time, but this is close. It just ekes out Roman Reigns spearing Shane McMahon off the coast to coast, where he knocked Shane McMahon out. That's what I thought of when I saw that spear. I'm like, that's Shane McMahon and Roman Reigns. This was a great match. Awesome fighting by both. Carmelo Hayes would retain the title. You wouldn't need Trick Williams to get involved, which is great. I love Carmelo Hayes as the face in this feud. And Braun Breaker as a heel is awesome. I thought this was just a great match, and clearly shows why Braun Breaker should be on the main roster. Well, that was NXT Battleground. So far, if I had to grade every pay-per-view so far, Under Siege gets a B-. Night of Champions gets a B. Battleground gets an A. We now go to what I honestly think was the worst pay-per-view of the weekend. I hate to say it because I loved most of the performers on this card, but it just didn't work out. AEW definitely lost this battle if they were going against NXT. If you're saying NXT Battleground versus AEW, the win goes to NXT. You had the Hardys and Hook versus Ethan Page and the Guns on the buy-in show. This was unfortunately such a terrible match because it looked like Jeff Hardy got injured. I don't know. Apparently he's not injured. Matt Hardy came out and said on Twitter and Instagram. Well, if he's not, then I don't know what the fuck is going on. I just hope that Jeff Hardy is okay because he went for a twist of fate and looks like his knee just gave out on him. The Hardys would pick up the win here after Hook would make Ethan Page pass out in a submission. So Ethan Page's contract now belongs to Matt Hardy. You would then get on the main show the 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal match. This is a great way to get people involved in the pay-per-view, but I felt there was just so much talent in this Battle Royal for its own good. I get why they put the talent in there. Now that I think of it, I get why, but at the same time, these guys should have all had different matches on the card. You should have had just the name one, Isaiah Swerve Strickland versus Keith Lee. That should have been just regular on the card. You have Pentagon versus Big Cass, which could have been any match on the card. That would have been an awesome match. There was just so much talent in this match that it overshadowed it and made me not enjoy it because I'm like, alright, a lot of these guys are going to get eliminated early and they're big names like Jay White, Pentagon, Ray Phoenix, again, Big Cass, Keith Lee, Nick Cage. I know. It's not that Nick Cage. But you have so many people in this match that you're looking at just going, alright, too much. They're trying to do too much there. Orange Cassidy would retain his title by eliminating Swerve Strickland last in a 22-minute match. It was okay at best. It was good performances, but the talent in it made me not care. You then get Adam Cole versus Chris Jericho in an unsanctioned match with Sabu as the special guest enforcer. Unsanctioned match ends in referee stoppage as Adam Cole was beating Chris Jericho down. I don't know what happened. I guess there was a cut over Chris Jericho's eye and the referee felt they needed to stop the match. How the fuck do you do that in an unsanctioned match? Crowd was booing, and that is when the crowd turned on the show. People on Twitter who were there were complaining about the crowd itself as well, saying that they really felt that the crowd destroyed the show. And I can't help but agree. You then get your AEW World Tag Team Championship match with Mark Briscoe as a special guest referee, just to show how far we've fallen in the AEW Tag Team division. FTR would defend these titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. Anytime I see these two together, all I think of is Ric Flair's terrible last match. So, yeah. FTR would retain, and the less said about this match, the better. It was a 20-minute piece of shit. And I'm not blaming FTR or Jay Lethal. I'm not even blaming Jeff Jarrett. It's just, this should have been a pay-per-view match. This should have been like the Acclaimed versus FTR. This should have been the House of Black versus FTR. It should have been anything else. Just want to say that right now. We then get what I think is actually the best match of the night in Wardlow versus Christian Cage in the ladder match for the AEW TNT Championship. Great job by Christian Cage and Wardlow, really getting people involved in this pay-per-view. This was the match that made the crowd come back a little. Still didn't win them all the way back in Double or Nothing, but made them come back just a little bit. Wardlow would defeat Christian Cage to retain his AEW TNT title. We then get a piss-poor women's match of Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter for the AEW Women's World Championship. I want to point out Jamie Hayter was the champion in this. And Toni Storm squashed her. She beat her in 3 minutes. Good job. We then get House of Black versus the Acclaimed in a 6-man tag team match for the Open House Rules match in AEW World Trios title. So basically an Open House Rules match is supposed to be the challengers pick a stipulation that they want to use. But what do the Acclaimed do? They come out and say, we don't want it. We're just going to face you in a regular match. So, way to blow that stipulation, guys. Good job. Good job. House of Black picks up the win in 15 minutes. If you think I'm being hard in this pay-per-view, go watch it. Trust me, you'll understand why I'm saying this. We then get Jade Cargill versus Taya Valkyrie in a very good TNT women's match. You really felt that Taya Valkyrie had a chance to beat the streak at 60-0. But Jade Cargill just ended up being just a little too strong. However, 60-0, Mark Sterling comes in the ring and goes, she should defend her title again. Let's have her defend it again here, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see Jade Cargill going, bitch, shut the fuck up. But that didn't want to happen. Chris Statlander came out and defeated Jade Cargill to end the streak. A decision that no one agreed with in 48 seconds. The streak of Jade Cargill is over. We then get MJF defending his title in a 4 pillars of AEW match. You would have MJF, Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin, and Jungle Boy. I also want to give a shout out to Sammy Guevara and I can never say her name right. Tay Morello. Tay Guevara. How about that? As they announced they are having a baby. Congratulations to them as well. So Alexa Bliss and Sammy Guevara and Tay Mello all having babies. Congratulations. Couldn't be happier for these guys. We knew MJF was going to retain. There's no way he isn't going to. He's going to retain all the way till All In, where he'll probably defend it against CM Punk in Wembley Stadium. This match was predictable to the end. MJF retaining his title. MJF, great wrestler, love him, but there was no way that he was losing this match. Just want to say that. And then finally we get the Anarchy in the Arena match. Probably the lowest I've been excited for an Anarchy in an Arena match ever. I like the combination of these teams. These teams are awesome. But it just felt weird with that wasn't in a football stadium. And especially not being in Duval. I loved it when it was in Duval. I thought that was unbelievable. I thought it was fun. But it being in Vegas, and I get why it was the Anarchy in the Arena match, not the stadium. It would have been cool if they somehow made their way from Raiders Stadium into the arena, but it's too far away. They would have had to take like taxis or cars or something on the Vegas Strip. Yeah, that would have been too long, so fuck that. Blackpool Combat Club picks up the win to end probably the worst pay-per-view of the night, of the weekend. If I had to give it a grade C at best, and that's because of the TBS match and the ladder match. The rest of this match is forgettable at best, and some of them at their worst are just piss poor matches. That was my review of Double or Nothing. I was happy to watch it, but at the same time, it made me need a drink. And speaking of needing a drink, let's go on to the drink of the week. Drink of the week this week is a Midori Sour. Since we are in Money in the Bank season, I am sticking with green drinks this month. Midori Sour is very easy to make. You just need some melon liqueur, Midori, some vodka, and some sour mix. Maybe a little bit of lime juice. So you can garnish a tall glass with lime slices suspended throughout the ice. Fill the glass with a combination of vodka, sour mix, melon liqueur, and lime juice. And you're gonna shake well. You go straight into the glass and top with a little bit of lemon lime soda. And that's your drink. It is a delicious drink. It's one that I actually has become a go-to when I'm sitting on the porch having a cigar or just trying to enjoy life. A Midori Sour is a delicious, delicious drink. And now we're reading from the Book of Rules. A message from WWE Wardrobe to his superstars. Dear superstars, all King of the Ring winners will receive a custom-fitted crown, robes, and special scepter. But all kingly garbs must be returned to wardrobe when the new king is crowned. Sincerely, WWE Wardrobe. And a reading from the Book of Rules. And now, everybody, it is time for the Battle Droid of the Week. The Battle Droid of the Week is not a wrestler this week, although I can think of a lot to give it to. The Battle Droid of the Week this week is Bleacher Report pay-per-view. I had to buy this pay-per-view twice. That is a $50 pay-per-view twice because Bleacher Report wouldn't acknowledge my purchase. Even though I made it on the same account I always do, I go to watch it, and it doesn't work. Alright, I guess it just didn't charge me. I'll buy it again. That's $50 more. Yay. Alright, here we go. Let's watch it. You did not purchase this event. I have the receipt. And then I get the receipt for the first purchase. So it's $100 out of my bank account on this pay-per-view. And finally, I get the pay-per-view and I'm able to watch it. $150 for one show. Yay. Yeah, so Bleacher Report, congratulations. You are the Battle Droid of the Week.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. I have been the Big Guy. This has been Wrestling Made Simple. Next week, we will get into our Money in the Bank reviews, where we will be reviewing a classic Money in the Bank, the first ever 2010 Money in the Bank. One of my favorite winners of all time, Kane, cashing in his briefcase to become World Heavyweight Champion. We'll get on to that next week. Thank you very much for listening. I have been the Big Guy. Enjoy wrestling this week, and I'll see you next week on Wrestling Made Simple. And again, one last shout out to the Monster Factory and Danny Cage. Awesome guys, awesome people.